I could feel confident in who I was. I knew who I was finally, surely, truly, without a shadow of a doubt. And that is what really saved my life, because for the longest time, you know, like in 2017, 2018, I started gaining weight. I got really depressed because I pretty much thought that there was no way I was going to be able to transition ever, and I was just going to have to keep marching forward in a life I didn't want to live. And I was just going to have to keep doing that until I couldn't do it anymore. I wasn't quite sure exactly who I was yet, but I knew I was not cisgender. So I needed the freedom to be able to express myself and be able to figure out who I was. And so for a while, I was trying gender fluid. I was like, what is making me feel like I'm bi-gender? What is tying me to this, you know, masculinity? And really it was after a lot of talking with a therapist and a lot of like self reflection, I realized it was really just the societal pressure of, you're Kris from Mr. Beast. You're the guy that starts the fires. You're the guy that builds the stuff, you know? And like my whole life, I've enjoyed doing those things, but I've never really felt like the guy.
And that becomes so intrinsically connected with who you are that it felt like it was shattering everything.
Exactly.
There's been a huge reaction to this. Like people are like, their minds are blown that something like this happened.
I knew there was going to be a big reaction, but I thought it would stay like, you know, like in that YouTube, you know, everything.
It's like tabloid culture now. It's like every single thing has some kind of headline about you and what it means and the effects on Mr.
It was crazy. I was trying to take a break. I was like, okay, it's not affecting me too bad, but I don't need to consume all this media and attention of myself. I'll delete all my social media. And then I get on Google and I go to open a new tab, and Google will recommend me articles about myself.
Like, you love Mr. Beast and Kris Tyson. And here's this thing about people hating you.
Please stop. I don't want to know about it.
Yeah. So you're just constantly being fed articles with headlines that are just blatantly wrong, right?
And so instantly, they're like, Kris Tyson comes out as a trans woman. Good for them.
Until today.
Until today. With Anthony.
How does that feel, publicly saying in front of cameras that you are a woman?
For the longest time, to even say it to some of the closest friends, it would make me like, my hands shake to say it. I would get so nervous. But now I can say I'm a woman. I'm happy to say I'm a woman. It's something that's honestly so freeing. And I think that is part of what the HRT did for me, was being able to accept myself and being able to look in the mirror and say, yes, you are a woman.
Every single person has something about themselves that they kind of want to be more of.
Yeah.
Here you are in front of hundreds of millions of people who have been criticizing you for every single reason in the book, and you're focusing on the way that you feel when you are most true to yourself.
I mean, if your way to confidence is to wear a dress, wear a dress. If your way to confidence is to get so swole you look like a bodybuilder, do that.
Isn't that wild that people say there's the Kris effect, the Carl effect, like one person can change or like infect the other brains of the other friends. Yeah, that's true.
I was like, how do you have the confidence to like go to the grocery store and not feel like every single person is staring at you? And he's like, I don't care.
Right.
Since when?
You know, there is a little bit of truth to the idea that a friend can come into a circle and they can show you what confidence looks like.
Yeah, they can show you what true confidence is. Because for a while, like I was like, yeah, I guess I'm confident, but it was all fake.
You mentioned taking hormones, and you mentioned that it saved your life.
For so long, every day, I would go to bed and I would have dreams, vivid dreams I was a woman, like my whole life. And I would wake up in the morning and it was just like getting ripped out of a reality that I didn't want to be taken out of.
So it was like the dream was the reality.
Yeah, there was times where I would just lay in bed all day and just sleep because it was more fun to do that, or more enjoyable to me to do that, because the real world, I didn't feel connected to it. I've really never felt connected to my body until I started taking HRT, and like I was amazed, like after 2-3 weeks, I just started having a mental clarity that it felt like a fog that had been around me just went away, and I could see things clearly. I could feel confident in who I was. Also, internalized transphobia just made me feel, you know, there's not a lot of trans people, and general, but there's also not a lot of trans people in my area. So the only exposure I had to trans people and trans issues were from, you know, the other end of the spectrum. And so I started to hate myself. I was like, oh, I'm pretending, I'm lying. I like, and it took me so many years of, I ran away. I pretended it didn't exist.
I mean, do you feel like old Kris is dead?
Dead. Gone.
Dead, buried, hatchet? All of it?
All of it gone.
Was it more difficult for you to come out to yourself or to others?
Myself. Far more. Once I came out to myself, I came out to myself with my therapist.
I mean, even now, I feel like people who have watched you for a long time will see that change in you wanting to express your thoughts, wanting to express your emotions.
They just freely come out of me because I don't suppress them anymore. And that is what's truly the best part of it, is that I can just, like, what comes out of my mouth is me now. And it's nobody else influencing me. It's nobody telling me I have to be this person. It's me coming out.
Do you remember the first time that you looked at yourself and you were like, that is me, I'm not ashamed of that anymore?
I did. I was actually heading to the studio to go film, and I was driving my car and I had something in my eye, and I pulled down my mirror and I just looked at myself, and for the first time it like hit me that I was like, I'm looking like myself, and I just started crying while driving.
Yeah, you're like, this looks like how I feel, how I see myself in my dreams.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, whether anyone watching is trans or not, like it's such a relatable feeling to want to be a truer version of yourself and to run away from that for a certain amount of time for any reason. You know, like you're constantly finding all these things that make you feel more and more true to yourself.
I'm now taking steps to make sure I'm the best and happiest version, because there was a point in my life where, and a lot of people thought that was the best version of me because that's the only thing they had ever seen. I was very unhappy and I was tired and I was miserable. And now I'm like, I wake up every day and I'm like, what are we doing today? I wake up with excitement.
Like, you get to live life?
Yeah, another day of being trans. That, for me, it's like the best thing.
Why do you think the news of you taking HRT and you looking more feminine, why do you think it went so viral?
The support I got from them in that moment was like, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, like, I have my friends back, like everybody else. Like,
you had the support from your core group.
Yeah, they're really like my family. To feel like I'm lying to like my best friends, we know everything about each other. Like, and I'm like, this is a huge part of me and I want to tell them, but I'm even so scared to tell them. Like, even when I used to try to form the words, I would just lock up and couldn't talk about it because I was so terrified to like out myself. My friends would have accepted me. I probably could have gotten through the process a little faster.
Yeah.
But everybody grows at their own pace and becomes themselves when they do.
But then the negative ones, I think it's because there's a little bit of fear attached to the implications or what else they might be thinking.
I used to be a mean kid.
So you've changed the way you present, you've changed the name and the things that you prefer people to call you, you've changed your pronouns. Have you changed your voice? Because I know that that's something that trans people also work toward.
I am working on it. So currently I'm working with the Seattle Voice Labs. It's a Discord server where they offer free lessons, they offer paid lessons, but Claire, she is incredible. She's been teaching me, and she really pushed me to do a voice.
Like today? She wanted you to do it.
She thinks I'm ready to do like, do a sentence, to give it a little sneak peek. I could feel like myself by like presenting the way I wanted to, growing my hair out, but I would look back when because I'm a YouTuber, I get recorded a lot.
Yeah.
I would look back and I would be like, that's me. And it wasn't until like I started accepting myself and being kind to others and like just listening to what my body wanted, like that's when that voice started going away. Started taking HRT. Haven't heard from that voice in a very long time. I hope it's locked away.
Do you think it's disappeared entirely? Yeah. You must feel like you have so much more like access to your whole self without that part of you shutting you down constantly.
I literally had people within the first like couple of months of like me coming out to like private, like friends and like my therapist, starting HRT, they were like, you've just been talking so much more, and you just seem so much more present in the conversation. And I was noticing that myself too, because like I would get done with conversations and be like, why does my jaw hurt so bad?
Oh, I was talking and smiling?
There was one moment I was sitting around all the guys, and I had just been really like thinking all that day about like my gender and everything, and combined with the apple juice, I just blurted out to them, I don't want to be a man anymore. I walked out and it was kind of one of those, and then he was like, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it.
Wait, what was it that gave it away?
Was fully dressed up.
Oh, so you were dressing up as a woman long before.
We lived. Oh, I've been dressing up as a woman since I was like 6 years old.
Oh.
I guess dressing up as a girl. Now I dress up as a woman.
Yeah. Why do you think the news of you taking HRT and you looking more feminine?
Because it's a really hot button issue right now. There's a lot of people putting in their 2 cents about it, and then I think what really like made a lot of people focus on it was that I'm just living my life. I'm not saying anything or doing anything. I'm just, hey, I'm on HRT. I'm a lot happier now. And I think that, in my opinion, a lot of people were like, no, we can't have somebody this successful and this like happy being on HRT. It's bad optics.
The most interesting part about seeing that is it felt like there was like a sparkle in your eyes. Something about it was like I could see this feeling of you feeling like yourself. Yeah,
and I really like showing the process of like how I get to there, because like I think for a lot of people, they don't want people to, hear that process, and that's completely understandable. It's a very vulnerable space.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to even like get to yourself to the point where you can do that sometimes without feeling like, oh my God, like, I don't want anybody to hear me. It'll never sound right. But I want people to hear that, because it's like, that shows you that it's like, people will say, oh, you're faking your voice. No, I just slid my voice into the right place.
You've had a lot of people speculating on your gender.
Yes.
Just you growing out your hair.
Yeah.
Today you showed up fully presenting as a woman.
I did, because I am a woman. Oh. Thank you for using your channel to give queer and trans people a safe place to talk about us and who we are, and just let us be ourselves. I post way too much on the internet because I'm just so excited to authentically be myself and be like, this is me. Hey, everybody. The person you knew for a long time, that was like a facade, a fake version of me. This is the real me. I'm still the same person. I just look a little different. Yeah, they can show you what true confidence is, because for a while, like I was like, yeah, I guess I'm confident, but it was all fake.
And then
there's a little insecure about.
Yeah, even if it is just lacking confidence. Yeah. Even if it's just, I want to be a little bit more confident in myself.
Because there was no rules back then. There was no like algorithm or anything. It was just whatever you could film, put it on YouTube.
And the videos have blown up to the point where now they are consistently getting over 100 million views each.
Crazy.
And because you lost control of that narrative.
Complete control.
Everyone had an opinion that had nothing to do with what your actual thoughts.
I did it. Somebody made a joke and they were like, they faked a DM and they were like, Kris is suing me, and then I quote tweeted it and I was like, you better be ready, this is my lawyer, and it was a picture of Jimmy with like sideways sunglasses, and people took that as serious.
There's real life consequences to false things being made up about you.
Yeah. It was kind of weird to see people be like, oh, now Jimmy's put in between a rock and a hard place where he obviously doesn't want to support Kris, but the left would be so mad if he didn't. And I'm like, all these speculation, all these crazy things. I told Jimmy like 7 years ago, I walked out of my bedroom. It was late.
Stop being yourself.
Stop it. Talk like a man.
Be more like men are.
Men talk.
Yes.
Straight.
Men talk straight.
Ooh.
Men talk slow. Men talk angry. Or men talk okay.
Yeah.
No, that was even too feminine.
Yeah, that was a little bit too feminine.
Yeah,
you were showing too much emotion.
Damn it.
Get out.
The only emotion you're allowed to show is anger.
Anger. That's the only emotion. And fear.
And fear? No. Real men don't get
That's
scared.
True. Yeah, real men don't.
Real men punch wall and break fist.
Even though, like, I saw people make fun of Carl because of his hair, he would just shrug it off. I was like, I can do that. Maybe. Give it a couple of years.